People who have jobs that bring you happiness and low stress, what do you do? Story 1. I work in a factory. People usually disagree with me on this, but once you learn the job, it's easy and repetitive. Where I work, it's 3 to 12-hour days and 4 off for $80K a year. All day, I listen to music, podcasts, books on tape, and travel the rest of the week. No work ever comes home with me, and if I need a little extra money, I can always add an extra day. As a bonus, it keeps me from getting too fat. Story 2. Help desk. In office 3 days a week, home 2, $90K. Zero deductible health insurance plan. I punch out and forget about work till the next day. Almost zero stress. Clean work environment. I'll probably retire here, in my mid-30s now. Story 3. EMT in rural ND. Average of 100 calls a year total. Not just me, the entire squad. 99% of my shift I never get a call, spend all my time napping, playing video games, watching TV. That one call I might get is probably going to be ADF that needs a lift assist, but man, am I happy to assist. I seriously love my job. I love being there for someone at their worst moment and hopefully having a good outcome. The stress of that one bad call is worth it to me. Story 4. Forester with State Department of Revenue. I work alone 99% driving on forest land doing site inspections. My boss is chill. I don't have to go into the office and I work 4/10 schedule. I see a lot of wildlife. Story 5. I work as a pet sitter. It's a low-stress job that makes me happy because I get to spend time with animals, enjoy a flexible schedule, and help pet owners feel at ease. The companionship and joy from the pets are incredibly rewarding. Story 6. The job that I recently got laid off from was paradise. I was alone at a warehouse overnight in a Jeep doing security. It was a natural little oasis, wildlife everywhere, slightly out of the way of the city, and peaceful. All I had to do was drive around it at least once an hour, initial some paperwork, and I could do whatever the hell I wanted to within reason for the rest of the time. I binged Netflix shows, listened to music, read books, got out and hunted for frogs and turtles, just sat with the windows down, etc. I loved it, and I miss it every day. Story 7. Table games dealer. I get paid well, amazing benefits, at no cost to me, and a 401k to play a game for a living. It's an incredibly easy, low-stress job where I never have that, ugh, I have to work today feeling. Instead, I more often than not look forward to going to work. Story 8. I'm a DevOps engineer. Typically what I'd consider a hard IT job, definitely took me half a decade to get there. But my exact job position and company has a pretty laid-back feel. I can do the minimum, and it looks like I'm doing a lot. Typically, I do decently over the minimum, though, but I tend not to overachieve. I like where I'm at right now, but will probably need to pick up the pace in the future as I don't like getting too comfortable. Story 9. I work as a cook in a nonprofit daycare that serves about 120 kids. It's a phenomenal job in food service. Monday to Friday, 7 to 3 p.m. Holidays off too. They pay is comparable to regular restaurant work, $18 per hour, but I also get health benefits and a $4. The best part, though, is introducing the kids to their first foods and making everything they eat as fresh as possible. Story 10. Not happy per se, but I'm a project manager at a pharmaceutical testing lab, and it's been the best work-life balance I've ever had. Remote salaried work with a good team. The most stressful part is just leading meetings with clients, but that's just me being a shy person, not so much the job itself. Not a lot of people know about the industry, and it can be a good place to start out after college. If anyone is looking for entry-level stuff in a more professional field, look into sample management jobs at contract labs. No science background needed. 11. I'm a civilian security guard on an army base in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by thousands of square miles of empty desert. I made $60K this year for watching tumbleweeds and jackrabbits. Story 12. I am a medical radiation technologist. I think my job is one of the least stressful. We don't work long hours like nurses and doctors, and only main priority is to take diagnostic images of patients, but once we're done, they are taken away by porters, so we spend little time on patients. At the end of the day, when we finish our hours, we just head home and relax. I find it a relaxing job, gets easier the better your skill set, and there's usually people to help you. This is strictly for X-rays only, not CT or MRI, of which is more stressful since you're on a schedule. I kind of like my job. Story 13. On-site on-call technician, 95% of the time nothing is going on. When something breaks, it's usually back online in about 20 minutes. Maybe 5 days a year you need to work on something all shift. Rest of the time you monitor the system and find other things to do. Like learn how to code and automate the boring part of the job. Story 14. Deckhand on a tugboat in New York. $385 a day. Next promotion to mate is $580 a day. Captain is $670 a day. We live in the boat and go up and down the East Coast, mostly the Northeast, for 2 weeks. Then we get 2 weeks off of work. Most of the time we eat free food and watch TV. I bring my Xbox and play a couple hours every day using my phone as a hotspot. Literally straight chilling for 2 weeks with friends.
15. Retirement actuary. $90K per year plus bonus. 5 years in the industry so far. Lots of interesting projects and minimal stress. Story 16. Furniture sales. I consider a good salary $100,000 plus per year with no previous education or experience required. Story 17. In-house graphic designer for a pretty large retail company. We stay busy, but there isn't any of the stress that comes from working at an agency and having to please several different clients or worrying about getting enough work as a freelancer. Story 18. I teach English in China. 12 hours a week, roughly $2,700 a month, almost all living expenses all paid, 1 return flight a year, 3 months off a year, but I'm paid for 11 months. I know I'll never get rich, but I make way more than I could spend considering the cost of living here. I could easily save $2,000 a month. I have plenty of time to pursue my hobbies. Even my time in the office is very relaxed. My classes are so basic. Story 19. QA/QC on electrical and mechanical projects. It is simple. Read the original proposal and the 100% specifications and don't let the subcontractors waver from them. Keep the customer happy by showing them you are all about giving them what they paid for. It has its moments where it can get pretty hectic, but 90% of the time it is laid back and stress-free. Story 20. I sit behind a desk and design DIY home theater and automation systems. People send in their floor plans and I put little speaker, TV, etc. images where they should install stuff. And I troubleshoot the systems over the phone too. Easiest damn money I've ever made, and I get paid good. Story 21. I'm AP.A for a really high-end real estate agent. First few months was stressful, constantly trying to work out how he operates, but now I have it worked out. I get everything done in advance for him and spend most of my day chatting with others in the office, drinking coffee and going on Reddit. I despise working. I've always hated it. I thought I would grow out of it, but at 27, I just seem to dislike it even more. So to find a job that I can be excellent at with minimum effort and stress that pays me well is a dream. I also start early and don't take lunch, so I'm home in good time to my dog. Story 22. College professor. If you find a field you love, you get to talk about your favorite thing for 15 hours a week, earn the income of a full-time job, and get several months off a year. Quotes because you use that time for grading and prepping stuff for the next semester. And of course you work longer than 15 hours a week, but what that work consists of varies widely. If community college, it's pretty chill, mostly meetings and waiting for students to see you. Research positions vary in responsibilities. Specialized schools could be chill or more demanding, but there's potential for the majority of your time outside the classroom to be up to you and how you spend it. Story 23. Friend of mine makes $45,000 a year in marketing. His entire job is making a newspaper/TV/internet ad saying, who would like to try a new product, sitting on his, but for several days waiting. Then when people respond, he sorts them by if they qualify or not. Guys can't test women's deodorant, etc. That is the end of his job. Everything else is done by another group. He has hours of paid free time he uses to code and do side projects. Story 24. I work as a landman in the oil and gas industry. While that title is sort of all-inclusive and covers a ton of different jobs, I spend most of my time researching the history of property to see who has owned it for the past 150 years and what they've done with it, e.g. are there mortgages, oil and gas leases, easements, etc. Oil and gas companies want this information so they can determine who to lease/pay when they drill for oil. All of this information is available in county courthouses, so I spend about half of my time there reading old documents. The rest of the time, I'm able to work from home. It's a very chill job. I don't really have a boss. No one really bothers me when I'm working, and courthouses can be almost like libraries sometimes. It's also a very rewarding job because you're sort of figuring out a puzzle and get to see something through to completion before moving on to your next project. There are sometimes deadlines and priorities, but they're never too bad for me and I always hit them. It can also get stressful when there's no work or you have to move around, but I still think it's worth it. Story 25. I work at a community center. About half the time I'm helping to manage our senior center, prepping and serving meals and going on trips, and half the time I manage room rentals and scheduling. Kind of a strange combo of a job. They didn't need a full-time cook and already had a full-time program coordinator, but being able to change things up is great for me. And while working with seniors isn't everyone's cup of tea, I find I have an easier time talking to people significantly older than me and have less social anxiety with them. Story 26. I'm a parts runner for a company that cleans oil spills and acid. I drive to pick up whatever parts are needed for the vacuum/service trucks or whatever else they need like chemical boots or masks. Some days I'll drive hours and all I do is listen to music and podcasts. I get free gas every day, full benefits, and making the most money I've ever gotten at a job. I hope you enjoyed your stay, and thank you very much for watching. If you got a story related to this topic, share your experiences in the comments down below.